Can you hear me in Spanish? Can you hear me in Spanish?
So welcome everyone for the beautiful session, The Art of Being Happy and Content, no matter what's happening around us. Welcome everyone from all different parts of the world. Today we have Sister Moira, who will take us through this beautiful journey, which is the attention for everybody, isn't it? That how we can be happy and content in our life. So we have been like with the Journey of Values for Life series for so many years, and Sister Moira had been with us many times. Many of us know, and whoever don't know, that I'll give a little introduction. So Sister Moira is the director of the Brahma Kumaris centers in Argentina, and by profession she was a surgical nurse. Sorry, at the age of 24, she started her journey searching for the true meaning of love and higher purpose in life. That took her to Mount Abu, the headquarters of Brahma Kumaris, in 1986. And the journey evolved that today it's been more than almost 4 decades that she's in this journey, and wonderfully she contributes this spiritual essence and help many to awaken. And as you can see, she is full of virtue of joy, happiness. So for today's art, she is the perfect instrument to take us through the tips, methods that we can also implement. So thank you, Sister Moira, to join us for this session. And I will now invite Sister Claudia to welcome you.
Omshanti, good morning. For you, good afternoon, right?
Yeah, midday. Good morning.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you with us because we need this art of to be content. If we are content, we become joyful, like you. So I think you are the best instrument to talk to us about how to be always content and happy. So I like to offer you some flowers with lots of love to you. And thank you to be with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Anuben. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we have the regular translations going on in Spanish, Portuguese, Hindi, and French. And yeah, the stage is all yours. Thank you, Sister.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation. And it's my pleasure to be back in this wonderful, I think of you all, whether it's this value series or the art series, it's like an ignited flame that has been on and on forever since the pandemic. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you very much for this invitation. And when I was thinking of this aspect of art,
Muchas gracias por esta invitación.
I think Manuel, no estás en el sistema de traducción, yo te estoy escuchando. Por eso tenés que esperar que te pongan en la traducción para que puedas hablarle solo a los hispanoparlantes. I'm just telling him, I'm listening to him.
I'm fixing it through chat. When I say yes, then he can start. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So, when I was thinking of this aspect of art, I like to think that life is a game. I have always thought that life was a game. And, I was a sports person, so I used to enjoy a lot. And when you play, it doesn't really, I was not exactly so motivated about winning. I just wanted to be, skilled or doing my best. But it doesn't really matter if I win or lose. What really mattered to me was to train with a team and to play, to be part of whatever sports we were practicing. So I was thinking that the spiritual journey is very much like sports. And because it requires training, because it requires practice and practice. There's this saying, practice, practice, practice makes perfect. So that which we practice consistently will eventually become an art. So the art is the expression of the refinement of what we have been observing, we have been transforming, and it's a step-by-step, daily process in which we can refine our vision of things, our awareness, relationships, any aspect of our life. So, I was also thinking this morning when I was thinking about this topic, when you think of an artist, think of a ballet dancer, how much she has to practice those amazing, amazing steps. Or when she's in the air like an angel, how much did she practice for that to become her art? Or a singer. So what we get as an art is a true gift. It's something that comes from deep within, from deep observation, deep realization, and a very deep commitment to our highest aims or whatever we want to accomplish. So we get good at it. And, a long time ago, well, when I joined the Brahma Kumaris, in fact, someone important in my life said, "You are a jewel of contentment." And this is an expression very much that we use in the BKs, being a jewel of a virtue. You could be a jewel of contentment or any other quality. And at that time, I thought, well, I'm not so sure that I am content. And I had to think about it. What is this contentment? Because in fact, very soon after that, at the beginning of my spiritual journey, I started going through such rough moments of my journey. And I thought, where's the jewel of contentment? I was not being that jewel of contentment. I was quite unhappy, deceived with myself. And so I realized it was something I had to cultivate. And so it became a wonderful journey to discover that I would say that contentment is, in Brahma Kumaris, we talk about our speciality. Each one of us, each one of you is really special for some reason. Someone may be very, very loving, another may be very, very creative, another may be very, very naturally humble. So our speciality is something that is very strong within our nature, that is expressed in a very natural way. And it's something that sometimes it's not easy to recognize. What is it that makes me different, special, unique? And it's something people see in you. And it's something you use a lot on the journey. It's like, it's the joker in the pack of cards. It's a joker that can play any game, any part of your game. And I realized with time that, yes, that was a speciality. I always associated it with enthusiasm. And I was reading something very nice about contentment, comparing it with a river. Contentment is like the deep underground current of water that no matter what happens on the surface, whether it's, flowing or stuck or stagnant or anything being thrown into it, no matter what happens to a river on the surface, deep down below, there is that current that no matter what happens will respond. It will always respond. So contentment is like that deep underground current of satisfaction. But it's not just an aspect of, accepting life. It's about understanding deeply about myself, about relationships. And when I talk about relationships, I would definitely, include not only the relationship with me, but the relationship with the divine, the relationship with others, and the relationship with nature. So what I learned on my journey is that in order to be content, and I can't say that I'm fully content, I am a lot more, but I think I have a long way to go. So from a space of, experimenting, I can tell you that it's taken me a lot of attention and a lot of dedication to transforming habits that were, I would say, making me frustrated or stealing my happiness. And one day I realized that happiness is a choice. It's a choice that I make. And, if I have a high aim and I'm committed to that, then I'm choosing to go on a path, not just any path, but the one that will lead me. And whatever we want in life is not a destination, it's the journey. It's the journey that matters. So I can't be happy, as a place where I will reach at some point. It has to be my journey. So happiness is a byproduct of pure actions. So it's like a combination. It's the consequence, the result of, I would say, a lifestyle and conscious choice. So it's not just, when we think of what happiness means in a worldly sense, we have associated happiness with pleasure. We have tried or gone the way of being happy through sensual perception, through physical perception. So we enjoy fragrance, we enjoy taste, we enjoy the warm weather, we enjoy beauty when it comes to our vision. We enjoy beauty when it comes to listening to music or listening to good comments. So but any form of happiness that comes through our senses is only temporary. And because when we're in this consciousness of just sense perception, then we're in the boundary of what we call body consciousness. Although our senses are the interface that connect us with the world, and we perceive the world through them, but when I take, when I'm expecting anything from outside of me, like, for example, if I hear good comments about me, then I feel safe, I feel okay, and I will appreciate. But if I feel criticism, then I would probably get upset, because whenever I am depending on anything coming from outside of me, then I am in duality. So I may go all the way, to one side of being really happy if I'm, someone appreciates my work, or if I'm promoted, or if someone expresses their affection. So then I become happy. But I should know that for however much I take happiness from anything external, anything coming from what I do, from what I have, from places, from people, anything that is coming that makes me feel happy, then I should know that by the same means I will experience unhappiness, because nothing is forever. Everything is like temporary. So what we learn in the Brahma Kumaris is to see things and to perceive ourselves from inside out, from a self-perception that is real, that has a source, which is my pure essence. And we want to be happy, but sometimes we confuse that with, doing happy. I'm happy if I get this done. I'm happy if I see things going my way. So I bring it to another level, which is very limited. So it's the choice we have to make. Nobody can make me happy, but also nobody can make me unhappy. That's something, it's very interesting. We have a very beautiful slogan in the Brahma Kumaris that is, only I can be my best friend and only I can be my worst enemy. But this requires a deep look within the self and deep understanding of my original nature as a spiritual being, understanding my qualities. And in Spanish, we have a distinction when I say what I am. I am an energy, a pure energy, a high level of vibration, which is the essence of love, of peace, of truth. And then how I find myself at the moment could be different. In Spanish, we have two different words, so it's quite easy to distinguish, what I am originally, what is the real me, and how I may find myself. Because contentment is our original nature. We have this quality of joy as the original quality of the soul. When I'm able to feel it, recognize it, and express it, then whatever I think, whatever I say and do will come from a space of that vibration. So it will make, contentment comes from having that freedom to express the real me. Because when I forget my nature, I get trapped in the limitation of an identity which is not what I really am. So I'm in the cage and the trap of ego. And the duality in ego will make me think I'm good and bad. And within that awareness, I will compare myself with others. So I may be good in comparison to someone, so I'm better than that one, or I may be bad in comparison to someone. So, and all this is so limiting. So it requires my observation of my inner world, understanding, the power of my thoughts, the power of my feelings, my original, my pure, powerful qualities of who I am. And I have been kind of asleep. I think that ego is like an amnesia of the soul in which I have forgotten who I am. So I've confused with what I do, with what I have, with what I don't have, with my reputation. So all this makes me feel very limited. But my dream, when I think of happiness, is not something limited. There's this beautiful word in Hindi, Atindriya Sukh. And this is that the happiness that comes from beyond the physical, beyond the senses, just being who I am. And then I'm not depending on, things happening or not. It doesn't matter what happens. It's like we don't negotiate happiness according to the result of performance, according to, what is going on around us. There are not many reasons in the world today to be happy. Yet, when we hear the news, we're hearing such cruel, shocking things happening around us. But the fact that that is happening, we don't deny it, we're real about it, but that doesn't change who I am. But if I become affected by that, if I expect anything. We have hope. For example, we have a hope that a war should not, should end. We don't want that to happen, but it's happening. It's beyond us. But if we can remain in a higher level of consciousness in which we can accept that it is happening, and we feel very bad when we can't do anything about people's sorrow, people going through people who are very unhappy. So if I remain in the awareness of who I am, then I could offer something. Maybe I can't be there to offer food. Maybe I can't be where there are physical needs. Maybe I'm at a distance. Maybe I'm near, maybe not. But I can always have a high vision of whatever is happening. And that if it doesn't affect me, then I am I'm in the condition that I can help with vibrations. I can always have good wishes for, whatever is going on. And it's quite interesting. Maybe I gave an extreme example of war, but maybe you don't like something happening at home. Maybe there's a conflict amongst your children or at work amongst your colleagues, and you would like that to change. But that it's not a reason to make me unhappy. If I'm able to become an observer and say, okay, you understand the reasons why things are happening, and you understand, you accept that things are going the way they are. Accepting things the way they are doesn't mean that I become passive, indifferent, and it's as if I don't care. I can be someone to bring another energy, but I will only be able to vibrate that or have that in my vision as a possibility, or be able to speak in a way that those words will impact, a meeting, a relationship, whatever, or even that just the atmosphere, whether it's at home or at work or even in the community. It depends on my vision, my thoughts, my feelings, my attitude, and I can offer, the vibration of being in a place where I'm safe, which is when I'm not deceived, distressed because of my expectations being unfulfilled. So I like to think of being an instrument of change. If someone really sad comes to you and they have a huge dilemma to share with you, and this is what's happening to me, and the person feels a victim, but if I'm content, if I am stable in my own self-respect, then I'm able to maybe listen with respect, maybe listen with love, not trying to jump into conclusions, not trying to, tell people what to do, just being present. Sometimes your silent presence is enough to make someone cool down, reflect, and, turn a page over. Sometimes a high vision of, myself will allow me to have a high vision of others. And that might be enough if we can, in a way, see someone with trust, with respect, and the person is able to acknowledge their own mistake or just realize that they can move on. Yesterday, a very beautiful journalist from Argentina came to see me, and he's been looking for a job for quite a while, but because he goes to interviews and he's never selected, he's becoming depressed. So he's starting to believe that he's not capable. So he came yesterday for breakfast to our center, and we had a very nice chat. And because he's not doing anything, because he doesn't have a job, he's doing all he can to find a job. So I said, well, how about offering? Because I said, if you stop doing anything, if you're not sowing any seeds in your life of all the goodness, the good things that you could do, your good thoughts, your good feelings, what fruit can you get of seeds you haven't planted? So I said, how about joining some organization where you can help? A journalist would always be welcome anywhere because every good action needs to be visible, promoted. So why don't you offer what you have? And just go into the magic of that dynamic. When we give, what we get. So if you give the best of yourself, even if someone is not hiring you or is not, is not considering you as a candidate, but you can still offer your own greatness, offer your, what you want to create. He does very nice interviews. So we started thinking of wonderful people he could interview. I said, start collecting amazing interviews. And then let's see what the universe does with that. But do something. Do something. Give the best of you always, because the secret of giving is that you receive. And the wonder is that when you give of yourself, that which touches people's lives in a way that awakens the best of them or opens a door to possibilities, then you get back, if not money, you'll get blessings. You'll get, people will feel a lot of gratitude, and that vibration is very important in our lives. So being happy is not just about, being okay with myself, doing good, but also we are in relationship with others. So, and it's very interesting because being in relationship with others is the mirror of how much I need to change to be happy. It's not just, because when we're when we're working in teams like they're like at some moments it's like being in a liquefier of personalities and ego clashes and so much, but all that is good. And this is where contentment, the river, the underground current, from where I can observe, if I'm doing my inner work, understanding my own goodness, but also acknowledging that I need to transform, that my ego hurts me and hurts others, that my reactions coming from the fear when my ego is threatened in the form of anger, it's like fire, it burns me up, but it also affects the atmosphere. Sometimes we are angry. We don't say anything, especially at work, because I can't say everything I feel, but because I vibrate those thoughts and feelings, it's like being passively angry. And but that affects everything, but then it hits me back. So by becoming the observer, we understand this dynamic of the power of our thoughts creating my reality, and the power of my thoughts being the seeds that determine everything I experience in life. So it's like, anything that we like about our life, we need to water it, we need to cultivate it. And anything we don't like about it, we have to stop giving it our attention. Because in the garden, now it's springtime in Argentina, it's like everything's nature is going to burst any minute, and the plants will be blossoming very soon. So it's so vibrant, and it's so beautiful because we've had good rain, and the grass in the winter, it becomes very yellow. So now we've had very nice rainfall, so everything's naturally, silently becoming green. So for a plant to grow, we need to give it water and heat and light. But for anything to grow within me, I need to give it my attention. So anything that has my attention will grow. So if I'm always looking at my defects, if I'm always, I'm highly self-critical. If I'm self-critical, I will certainly be critical of anyone and everyone else. And criticism is like a cancer, I think. It's because the soul is quite empty, that we have expectations. We want the world to dance at my rhythm. So we become deceived. Anything that doesn't fit within my expectation is wrong. So criticism is just right there at the tip of our fingers, So like to overcome criticism, I need to start appreciating what is good in me. Because then it becomes like a filter through which I see not only myself, but I see others. In order to see what is good in others, I need to accept and acknowledge what is good in me. And if I give attention to that, it will grow. And, spiritual economy is exactly the opposite to the mundane economy. Because in economics, if you have so much money and you start using, spending, you will have less and less and less as time goes by. But in spiritual economy, the more you use your quality, the more you use your speciality. And as I said at the beginning, the speciality that is the light that shines through you without you even knowing it, without you even, having to think about it. Someone who is, cooperative wouldn't even have a doubt of jumping into a situation where he's required and wouldn't even have to be told, can you help us? He would just see it and off he goes. Someone who is very respectful would always have a different type of listening to a conversation in which he might then come later after that and know a little bit more in order to be able to help in a different, but naturally, they don't, the more we, our speciality as the joker of our pack of cards is what we have used most to overcome most of our challenges, any type. But what I discovered is that, I've always thought that enthusiasm was my speciality. Although I was told I was a jewel of contentment, but I always say I'm a naturally enthusiastic person. People come to me and say, Moira, can we do this? Of course. I never think there's nothing we can't do. So it's like, and I quite enjoy the game when things seem to be impossible. This is when I enjoy it most. It's like we have to challenge it. We have to make it possible. So I realized that so that is something the more we use it, the more powerful it becomes. And so that power will start accumulating, and it will then be expressed in my words, in my feelings, in my attitudes, in my interactions with others. But also I realized that if we only use one quality, I'll tell you what happens to me when I come into a meeting with our team here with a lot of enthusiasm, with a good idea, and I tell them, how about doing this? And there are people in the meeting who have no interest in what I said. Others didn't even listen to me. Others only like it halfway. Others like it. So then I think, okay, let me tell them again. Maybe they didn't understand. So I repeat it. And maybe if people disagree, if I only use my enthusiasm, I'll try and convince them. So then that virtue will stop being a virtue and it will become something else. I will be kind of coercitive. I will start being imposing. So I can't only just use my joker, my enthusiasm. I have to use a quality that will balance that natural flow that comes from within so naturally. For example, for me, the quality that balances my speciality is patience. Patience, which I don't have that much of. And so if I say something with enthusiasm, then I have to wait. I have to wait for people to, think about it, then to come to a consensus. Some things that we want take time. They take time. Maybe you sow the seed of a good idea of something, but maybe it'll happen much later on. So it's such a game of how we use our own energy to create the reality we want to live. So balancing your speciality, because I realized that as much as my speciality could be the reason of the many, many solutions in my life, it can also become the cause of all my problems. So that imbalance becomes the cause of all my problems, because with impatience, I can hurt, I can, undo all the good that would have come from a good idea. When I'm impatient, I'll become disrespectful, I'll become, maybe anxious, I'll create expectations. So I have to come back home to my safe place where I can become the observer of my expression. Is my expression causing sorrow? And this is an aspect which is very important in being happy, because we don't want to give sorrow, right? Which is pretty clear. And although we do sometimes, because we become weak, unclear, whatever, but there's another aspect, which is taking sorrow. So taking sorrow is my taking things personally in a way that whatever someone's behavior or attitude or vision of me, I take it in. So then I allow that to go into my heart, which means I've stepped out of my self-respect, which means I will hurt myself. So if I take someone's, aggressive comment or behavior, or it could be someone who ignores me, someone who has lost all contact or eye contact or communication with me. So if I take that at heart, then I will feel unhappy. I will feel bad about that. But then who should I forgive? Because, okay, someone's behavior may not be right, but it's also not right to hurt myself. So it's equally important not to give sorrow as not to take sorrow. But it takes an awful lot of attention to be in that safe space of my self-respect, in which I am aware, because I have become an observer and I'm working with myself internally in a way that I know my self-worth and I know my value. I understand the importance of what I'm able to offer to the world, offer to the community, offer to my family, even offer to myself. And this is a deep aspect of care. Care as an expression of love, my own self-care, the attention I give to myself at all levels, whether it's, it could be on a physical level, taking care of my diet, my exercising, how much, and how well I rest and sleep, but also how much I cultivate good feelings, good thoughts and feelings for others, so that my relationships are nurtured with the best of me. So then I don't become a victim. And then I'm not expecting people to be the way I want them to be, because contentment comes from spiritual attainment. And, one thing is to be, to be an achiever. When I have aims of things that I want to do and I achieve my goals, so that's an achiever. But a contented soul is someone who is treasuring attainments that come from a way of being. Maybe I may not be, professionally or any other way very capable in terms of the things I do. Maybe I need to learn, maybe I need to improve, but that wouldn't be a reason. Maybe I haven't reached my goals yet, which means I haven't achieved, but it doesn't mean that I should lose happiness on my way or become hopeless in any way. And of course, this depends not only in the relationship that I establish with myself and with others, but also this relationship with the divine. Because in order to bypass that vision of the ego that keeps me in this cage of a limited identity, which I am not, I like to think of this. I need to take refuge in a vision that is pure and objective of who I really am, so that I'm able to recreate this idea, this perception of who I am. So this is where meditation as a tool is so necessary. This connection between I, the soul, I, the spiritual being, and the supreme being, the source of power, of peace, of purity, of love, that as much as I can connect and experience that high level, that vibration, that when that touches me, it awakens that which has been dormant in me, that I'm able to observe and recognize step by step, step by step. So it becoming an art will require a lot of attention, a lot of interest in being who I truly am, and letting go in the form of, forgiveness, in the form of determination, of moving out of thought patterns that have kept me in the cage of a limited identity. But when God looks at me, when I see in his eyes how he sees and loves me, this is where I can see my inner beauty in his vision of me. And I can slowly, slowly accept this is who I really am. This is who I am. So I will stop there, Manoj. I think it's my time over. And over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I was just enjoying you took us through the journey, your personal journey of being happy and content, and also how beautifully you mentioned about the balance, which is it was resonating with me because I am also at some point, I feel very enthusiastic. I put up my point, but I have to take patience as well. So we need to strike a balance qualities because otherwise we may feel sort of hurt or we may sort of feel unworthy. As you rightly pointed out, that self-worth is also very important. Right. So we'll take a few questions in the interest of time. I'm not cutting off. Sorry, just a moment. Yeah.
You're
So,
okay.
so the first question is, you spoke about life is a game. You started with that. It was a wonderful belief system. But sometimes people feel life is a curse or life is sort of a journey which is a very difficult journey. So how do I work on my belief system so that I can really be content forever? I need to really challenge my very difficult belief systems which I have developed over a period of time. So how do I change my belief systems?
Well, I think we have to focus on what we really want. Sometimes when we think, okay, maybe my journey hasn't been very happy and I may even have a reputation for that, and maybe things around me are not very encouraging, but I need a bit of, I would say, time out, a bit of silent introspection, and ask myself, what do I really want? What do I really value, of my life? And I need to focus on that. Maybe I'm coming from a space of, conflict where I haven't felt very loved. Maybe I haven't been cared that much. And that is the case of many people. To some extent, it may be the case of most of us. But if we value harmony and unity, and if I want a life of, peace, and I want a meaningful life, then I have to start exploring these ideas. And, whatever we dream of, we see it as a dream. We may see it as utopia, but we cannot think of anything that doesn't exist. How can we think of something that doesn't exist? We cannot. We cannot think of inexistence. So if we want peace of mind, if we want a loving relationship, then it's coming from deep within myself. It's because that is lying within me. And maybe I haven't seen it in me, but I've seen it in others. And I'm able to acknowledge the value of that. But if that is what I want, I need to focus on that. I need to explore that. Maybe, talk to people about what you want. Well, we, the Brahma Kumaris, give meditation courses, and I'm sure, meditation as a tool will allow you to look deep within yourself in such a meaningful way to connect to the highest, to our our core qualities, our core values. And so when we look at that, and you may need guidance, you may need help, which is fine, which is great to express that you want to change, you want something different. But now start thinking of what it would look like if you have, or if you move in the direction of what you want. You know, we have to commit to our highest, and it's not an expectation, it's your highest hope. You know, expectations come from ego, and whatever we get from ego, we can be sure we will lose at some point. But what comes from your deep thinking, from your silence, from your deep introspection is real. It comes from you, and you're real. So give a step forward and take help in the direction of, you know, maybe learning with others, joining some group, joining a meditation course, joining something where you can learn that which you want to accomplish, that which you want to develop in yourself.
Great. The next question is, I am quite contented with myself because I love myself. I practice regular meditation. Someone has asked this. But when I come in interaction with others, with my spouse, with children, they do actions which I don't approve of. And I feel discontented with that. So how do I deal with this? Because I want to experience, as you said in Hindi, Ati Indriya Sukh. I want to experience bliss, not a feeling of being happy or sad, low and fine. So how do I achieve this state of bliss and not get affected by people's discontentment?
Well, maybe, you know, maybe you have to check how deep your contentment really is. Because when there's some form of dissatisfaction in the self, we will, you know, whatever we don't like about ourselves, we don't like about others either. Because it's the filter, you know, it's the way it's if I'm hard on myself, I'll be hard on others. If I'm able to understand what it takes to change, then I become accepting and respectful of others because I'm doing that for myself. So, you know, also like seeing good in others. And of course, when it comes to family members, they know you upside down. So, and this is such a close relationship. It takes a lot more attention. They are your teachers. They are the ones with whom you have to practice. Maybe, okay, you feel content on one hand, but there's some, you know, when we criticize, it's as if our vision has become sick. It's like it's the inability to see good. So we can't see their value. And they may be having, you know, odd behaviors, rude behaviors, or whatever, but they also have some good. As much as we do, we have things to change, but there's also a lot of goodness. So there's much more goodness than there is anything bad, because this is who we are. But we need to train our vision to see good in others. Not only in others, see good in whatever is happening, see the benefit, you know, see the half glass that is full, you know, because it's a habit of seeing defects. It's a habit of seeing mistakes. Maybe as a family, you've done so many good things. You've had a great time. But what you'll talk about is that something didn't come out the way you wanted. So it kind of spoils the whole thing. And it's just a deficiency in our vision. But it starts with me. You know, if you look deep, deep, deep within the self, there's something that I'm not happy about myself. And this is what I'm expecting about others. Because, you know, someone who's content, I just want to give you a little story. I don't know if I have time to tell you a little story. You know, when Daddy Janki, she was the head of the Brahma Kumaris a few years back. She left when she was 104. She was a very, very strict teacher with us. She used to really pull our ears long way back. And in her last years, she once went to London. The last few trips that she did to London, where she had lived for 40 years, and she stood in front of the class, you know, with her arms like this, like with so much love, and looked at them all and said, I have noticed that in London, there is no more Maya. Maya as illusion, Maya as impure, something negative. Like, and of course they all laughed and they said, Daddy, and she says, there's no more Maya here. No more Maya in London, right? And they just laughed. And so what was happening within her? She had trained so much to see the good in others. She had become such an embodiment of all her qualities that she didn't see anything negative inside or out. And this is the vision she was holding for them. So for me, that was such a beautiful gift that she left us, when we don't see any impurity or any weakness in the self anymore because I have transformed or because I'm working on it, then I won't see it in others either. Or if they are, I mean, things are there, we don't deny it, but we're not affected by it. We can detach and help.
A wonderful story you shared. Actually, I know time is up, Sister Anu, but I would quickly take this session. Take the question which has just popped up in the chat box. It is about visualization. So this person is asking at BKs in the Brahma Kumaris, we use this word that we spin the disc of self-realization. So she's saying, I keep doing that. I visualize that I'm succeeding. I do spin it. I have good visualization, but still I'm not getting what I want. So what do you recommend? Where am I falling short?
Well, it's good. What you're doing is good. Like, spinning this vision of your good actions, the result of your good actions. Well, what I would do right now is I would take it a step further and connect with the divine. What is his vision of of me? Because maybe I'm at a level that I've got used to and I'm only getting somewhere to whatever I'm reaching, but I need to go further. I need to look deeper within myself, but also nurture that vision of me with a higher vision of me. And this is when this relationship, God as the parent, as the mother and the father, not only of the soul, like the one who teaches us our eternal truth. Sometimes we're only trying to see that we're going to accomplish something in the short term. But when we look into his eyes, we can see who we are eternally. So we can have a longer term, aim that is bringing me back home to my original purity. So when we talk about the discus, it's about, understanding my eternal existence, where I'm coming from, what I became, but where I'm going back to. And that is not only just, in the span of a day of just accomplishing things in the day. That is good to, to succeed in what we do now, but it's also like a longer term vision of what I want to achieve. Because many changes in our, behavior, in our consciousness take time. So stick to it and continue to practice to visualize your success. Visualize, what would it look like to be humble? What would it look, whatever quality you're working on, visualize your expression, your understanding, your feelings, how you interact with that quality. And it can only make it grow.
Right, wonderful. Thank you for explaining this. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, we can't take your questions anymore because they came late. It's already above time. So so once again, thanks so much for your wisdom on the art of being happy and content. And now I request, before we go on to the meditation, over to Sister Anu for the quick announcements and a group photo, and then we'll go in the meditation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Moira. Very deep points, many deep points that we will take on and churn. So the quick announcement, I want to again mention that how we continue the talk that we listened today. We'll take it on for further inner reflections in the episode 7b. on the art of being happy and content with Sister Deborah Castle from Halifax. So it's happening next week, 6th of September, same time. So please join us then. And continuingly, we'll have the workshop for further internal reflections and then the silence retreat. So next week, we'll see you all. And this is our September calendar. We'll share with you in the email soon. And yeah, check us out on our websites, bihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. And send us any email if you like. And also on our YouTube channel, you will find all the videos, including. Thank you everyone. And I think Sister Moira will request you to take us through a quick meditation. But before that, yes, photograph. That's very popular. Everybody wants a photograph, virtual photograph. So you can switch on your videos and then let's take the photo. With Sister Moira. Happy and contentment is reflecting, shining on our faces. There you go. One more second if anyone wants to open their video. There you go. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Sister Moira.
Thank you all. Thank you. Amazing. I just love the program you've just announced. You are really amazing. Thank you. So yes, let's go into that deep awareness of the jewel that each one of us is. In the understanding that I am that eternal energy that flows like underground, like the river. Visualize the river. No matter what happens on the surface, there is that cool, peaceful, calm current deep within me. This is who I truly am. This is my power. And as I become the observer and accept who I truly am, I allow the expression of that power through my eyes, through my smile, through my attitudes. I nurture my relationships with the light that comes from deep within me. My ability to care for myself, but also care for others. I'm able to protect myself from taking sorrow, from hurting anyone. I choose to be happy. I consciously choose to be above any mundane, low vibration. And as I go deep within myself, into silence, I see myself as light, pure light, in the presence, the divine source of unconditional love, the love that allows me to be free, the love that fills every corner of my heart, that takes me beyond the past, grudges, guilt, any negativity. And I allow His pure energy to empower me. And in the joy of being who I am, I can accept my part. I come back with my attention. And I trust that no matter what happens, I will be happy. I will respond. I will go beyond reactions. And I can always go back to my safe space. I can always go back to the meeting with the divine. It's only always a thought away. His vision on me allows me to recreate myself. When I remember him, I bring his presence, his company. So there's nothing to fear. I just need to trust. Trust who I am. Trust who I belong to. And trust the significant part that I'm playing with others. Om Shanti.
So, once again, thank you so much for the enchanting meditation and taking us in that mood. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, Anu. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, Sister Moira.
Thank you.
Bye now. See you all
Bye.
soon.